Prime Minister, Mark, you're very welcome here at Downing Street. It's fantastic to have this opportunity to have you here so early on in your tenure. And the relationship between our two countries has always been strong. Two sovereign allies, so much in common, shared history, shared values, shared king, and all the work we do in the Commonwealth together.
Canada is being punished by Donald Trump in the form of worse tariffs every day. That's the very reason Canada had to bring a new Prime Minister who can fight back Trump. However, in all that, Starmer did get the discount and got Trump not to put tariffs on the United Kingdom yet. But what happens when Starmer welcomes someone who wants to build an anti-Trump alliance? Yes, Mark Carney, the new Canadian Prime Minister, is doing exactly this. Instead of visiting Washington to appease Trump, he decided to go to Europe. And now he has reached the UK. But how will Starmer balance that? We mean he cannot welcome and stand with a country being considered an American enemy in the trade war by Trump. It turns out Starmer is risking it all, gambling on British national interest and making Trump furious like never before. So, what's really going on? In this video, let's know about the whole story. Keir Starmer may have avoided Trump's tariffs for now, but his latest reckless political maneuver could destroy the fragile balance he has with Washington. As Canada faces brutal economic retaliation from Trump, its new Prime Minister Mark Carney has made it clear that he isn't bowing down. Instead of traveling to Washington to negotiate with Trump, Carney has deliberately turned to Europe and the UK, seeking allies who will help him resist American pressure. And Starmer is not hesitating to support him. He does not understand what it can cost him. But to understand that, we have to know how Trump made Canada an enemy in a trade war, and that the same can happen with the UK. Decades of good relations can be forgotten in seconds. Trump's punishment of Canada has been swift and brutal. Since taking office, he has imposed sweeping tariffs on Canadian industries, starting with 25% tariffs on aluminum and steel and threatening to increase them to 50%. These tariffs are crippling Canadian exports, throwing the country's economy into a crisis that could lead to a full-scale recession. But Trump's hostility toward Canada doesn't stop at economics. He has repeatedly hinted at annexing Canadian territory, even referring to the country as America's 51st state. His mockery of Justin Trudeau, whom he called Governor Trudeau, was a clear indication that Trump sees Canada not as a sovereign nation, but as a subject state that should submit to US interests. However, Carney, Canada's new Prime Minister, has made it clear that he will not be bullied. His decision to visit France and the UK before Washington was a deliberate snub to Trump, signaling that Canada will build new alliances rather than caving to American pressure. And this is where Starmer's miscalculation becomes obvious. By standing alongside Carney at this moment, he is directly undermining Trump's economic war strategy. That's because Mark Carney's visit to Paris and London is far from a simple diplomatic courtesy call. This is a high-stakes power move, one that signals Canada's determination to align itself with Europe in the face of Trump's economic war. His meeting with French President Emmanuel Macron was the first clear indicator that Canada is looking for new allies outside of its traditional partnership with the US. The timing of these meetings is not a coincidence. It is a deliberate act of defiance against Washington. Now Carney has landed in the UK, where he has been personally received by King Charles at Buckingham Palace, before heading to 10 Downing Street to meet Prime Minister Keir Starmer. This is a highly symbolic visit, one that places the UK in an uncomfortable position. With Trump escalating economic sanctions against Canada and aggressively pushing his America First policies, Starmer is now walking a diplomatic tightrope. For Starmer, the dilemma is clear. The UK and Canada share strong historical, economic and political ties, but Trump does not view diplomacy as a neutral game. In his world, there are only two categories: allies and enemies. Hosting Carney at this moment is more than just an act of goodwill. It is a political statement. Carney is currently positioning himself as the leader of a growing anti-Trump coalition, and by publicly aligning with him, Starmer is indirectly aligning himself against Trump. This is the kind of move that will not go unnoticed in Washington. Trump has no patience for perceived betrayal. The moment Starmer shakes hands with Carney and acknowledges their shared values and history, he is effectively signaling that the UK is sympathetic to Carney's defiance against Trump's economic bullying. This is an incredibly risky move considering how dependent Britain still is on favourable US trade terms. Before we continue further, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel for more exclusive videos on the groundbreaking changes happening in British politics. Let's continue now. To grasp the full weight of this situation, one must understand how Trump views foreign relations. Unlike past US presidents who engaged in subtle diplomacy, Trump operates with a rigid, transactional mindset. He does not recognize grey areas in geopolitics. For him, every country is either fully with him or completely against him. This is exactly how he justified his economic war on Canada, by branding Canada's leaders as weak, disloyal, and disrespectful of American trade policies. The fact that Canada had been a long-standing US ally meant nothing to him. The moment he felt that Canada was stepping out of line, he imposed crushing tariffs and trade restrictions to punish them. Now Starmer appears to be making the same mistake Trudeau made, assuming that he can carefully balance a working relationship with Trump while simultaneously entertaining close ties with one of Trump's biggest challengers. This is a grave miscalculation. Up until now, Starmer has successfully negotiated an exemption from Trump's brutal US tariffs, ensuring that Britain's industries have remained protected. This arrangement has been crucial for the UK's post-Brexit economy, as losing US trade privileges would be catastrophic. But how long can this last, now that Starmer is entertaining close ties with a leader who is openly defying Trump? By personally hosting Carney in London, Starmer is gambling with Britain's economic future. The reality is simple. Trump does not tolerate leaders who associate with his adversaries. If Trump was willing to crush Canada's economy over a trade dispute, what makes Starmer believe that Britain will be spared if he crosses the line?
Because they've really taken advantage of us. And, we have over a $300 billion deficit. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm products. They take almost nothing. And we take everything from them. Millions of cars, tremendous amounts of food and farm products. So the UK is way out of line. And
rather than taking a neutral stance, Starmer actively emphasized Britain's strong ties with Canada, making it clear that he sees Carney as more than just a visiting leader. His statement, "Two sovereign allies with so much in common, shared history, shared values, shared king," was a direct provocation to Trump. It is not just a warm diplomatic greeting, it is a message to Washington that Britain and Canada are aligned in their approach to global trade and diplomacy.
Economically, there are great ties between our two countries, so it's very, very good to be able to welcome you here as an ally, a friend, and two countries with a very, very strong camaraderie, support for each other, and history and future.
Absolument. Well, thank you, Kier. Merci beaucoup pour cet accueil. We have a remarkable history, as you said, between our countries, and it is remarkable because it's built on shared values. And we're at a point in history where the world is being...
There is a problem. Carney's government has already taken a hard anti-Trump stance, with Carney himself stating that Canada will never, ever, in any way, shape or form, be part of the United States. This was a direct rejection of Trump's rhetoric that Canada would be better off as America's 51st state. If Starmer truly wanted to stay in Trump's good graces, he would have kept a cautious distance from Carney's defiance. Instead, he has now made Britain look like a silent supporter of Carney's resistance strategy. The only question now is, how long before Trump retaliates? For now, Britain has avoided Trump's economic wrath, having secured exemptions from his aggressive tariffs. But this exemption was based on an unspoken understanding that Britain would not interfere with Trump's economic battles. The moment Trump senses that Britain is aligning itself with Carney's defiance, this exemption could vanish overnight. Trump does not offer favors out of goodwill. He expects absolute loyalty in return. Starmer, by engaging with Carney at such a critical time, is violating that understanding. Trump's pattern of behavior is clear. He punishes disloyalty without hesitation. If he was willing to cripple Canada's economy with relentless tariffs, there is no reason to believe that Britain is immune. Carney has made it clear that he is prepared to stand against Trump's economic coercion, but Starmer does not have that luxury. If Trump decides that Britain is no longer a reliable partner, Britain could be the next victim of Trump's trade war. At this point, it is no longer a question of whether Trump will retaliate. It is a question of when and how severely. If Trump decides to punish the UK for associating with Carney, Britain could face several devastating consequences. But how? Well, first, Trump could impose immediate tariffs on British exports, inflicting severe economic damage on industries that depend on US trade. This would mirror the situation Canada is currently facing, where harsh tariffs are driving its economy toward recession. Second, Trump could sour diplomatic relations with the UK, treating Britain as an unreliable partner rather than a trusted ally. This could have consequences far beyond trade, affecting military cooperation, intelligence sharing, and even Brexit-related negotiations. Finally, Trump could force Starmer into a corner, demanding that Britain either distances itself from Carney or faces economic punishment. This would put Starmer in an impossible position, as he would either have to betray a close Commonwealth ally or risk devastating Britain's economy. The most dangerous part of all this is Starmer has no contingency plan. If Trump retaliates, Britain will be completely exposed, with no real leverage to fight back. You see, Carney himself is not the one at greatest risk. Britain is. Canada, despite its economic ties to the US, has alternative trade options with Europe and Asia. The UK, after Brexit, does not have the same flexibility. Starmer should have seen this coming. Instead, he has walked straight into a diplomatic disaster. Today, it becomes clear that rather than securing Britain's economic stability, Starmer has needlessly dragged the UK into a conflict it was never part of. If Trump decides to escalate his trade war against Britain, the blame will fall entirely on Starmer. Trump has already demonstrated his willingness to economically crush nations that defy him. If Starmer does not act fast to reverse course and repair Britain's relationship with Trump, Britain could be next in line for economic destruction. What do you think? Should Starmer really stand with Canada this time and attract Trump's anger? Or should Starmer take Trump into confidence and convey that the UK won't be supporting Canada in the trade war? In the comments section right below, share your thoughts on the fact that Trump won't think much about expanding his trade war to the UK because Starmer is appearing to stand with Canada. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to get more updates on British politics and how events are changing it. Until the next video, stay tuned.